Crazy Brave step number 5. Connect. By loving myself, I encourage others to do the same.
My connectiveness prayer. My art is an extension of my willingness to love and stay open to the people around me. Today, I will be aware of the relationships I have created and do my best to receive and send love. God, thank you for what you have given me. I will be responsible by standing up in my own uniqueness and by giving it my all. By doing so, I offer something beautiful to you. Thank you, dear universe, for the beautiful people in my life. I am grateful. The Bridge, the Art of Connection. If you take a ride across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, you might experience any number of feelings. You might find yourself feeling the expansiveness as you view the mountains and the water underneath, or you might experience a sense of awe as you think about the massive human undertaking it took to create a bridge of that magnitude. Spiritually and symbolically, bridges can signify a change in perspective, a time for spiritual observation, and a need for connection, transition, and progress. In similar fashion, the musical bridge is functionally used to connect one section of a song with another and to offer a new perspective melodically, lyrically, or musically. But its primary purpose is to give the listener an opportunity to slow down and feel the music in all its dancing parts. When you're writing, the bridge will require you to think differently by changing the musical intricacies of your song's storyline so that the listener can take a respite and live inside the music for a while, without hearing the repeated sections of the verse and chorus all over again. It will also cry out for collaborative consideration. Real-life bridges are not usually built by one guy who owns a hammer and some glue, but are instead a collaborative venture taken on by many people who talk about design and are skilled to work on parts of the project as they consider the whole. Somewhere along the process of creating a song, you will need collaborative energy to help you co-write, troubleshoot, or encourage you to keep going. Bridges are also internal as you continually learn to nourish the personal connective bridges inside your own spirit. Elements of the bridge. Known as Alpha C section. Other names: the breakdown, the middle 8, the release, or the instrumental solo. It can be either lyrical or instrumental. It is normally short in length, usually not more than 4 to 8 bars. It breaks up the A-B repetitiveness of a song. Lyrically, bridges can offer another perspective: the moral of the story, a lesson learned, or a new resolution. Bridges allow the listener to stop, pause, and reflect on the overall message in the song. It builds anticipation as the music ramps up to the final chorus once again. Creative familiarity. In this sweet spot, there are no distractions, no past or future concerns. It is our haven where we can breathe, soar, dream, and make connections. It is our creative home, our place of spiritual comfort, where we love to spend as much time as possible, immersed in the art that has drawn us there. I once heard the great actor Dustin Hoffman reflect on his experience about the moment he found the art of acting. He enrolled in an acting class in college and was given a monologue to work on as an assignment. To his amazement, he spent hours and hours working on it, completely unaware of time passing, and he was surprised at his commitment to the material. In that moment, Mr. Hoffman knew that he had found something deeply important, and after a career of great work and illustrious awards, we now understand why he was intuitively aware of the depth of that moment, the moment when he found his true calling. Mindfulness, discussed in Step 1, which involves the psychological process of being fully conscious of the present moment through the powerful act of pure observation and paying attention, is part of this equation as we move into total creative submersion. Coming into the present moment is like walking into your home. When I was touring with a band, I entered my creativity house when I was on stage. I loved to listen carefully to the interplay of musicianship as the bass player locked into the rhythm of the drums and the melody of the piano connected to the interplay of sound overall. The movement of the music was different every time we performed, and my job as the vocalist was to come into the present moment, catch the wave of what the musicians were bringing, and then merge into the whole as the music swirled around me and through me. The best moments on stage are about a collective experience between the audience and me. I found that if I pour out my best work by working inside my music, and then I have the confidence to let go, a bridge of alignment is created between us where net love can be felt, seen, and heard. Bridges are alignments within us that extend outward through our expression. As simple as the process of creativity may seem on the surface, the complex interconnectedness of factors requires a constructive model for understanding. To help grasp the full aspect of creative expression as it moves through you, let's use the Creativity House to discuss the myriad of elements that occur in the heart of every songwriter and creative person. Your house has 3 floors. The basement is the holder of all your musical potential and authentic power. The first floor is where creative action takes place and where awareness of creative energies are held. The attic is the storehouse of personal experiences, perspectives, belief systems, wisdom, and higher spiritual qualities. Let's start with the basement. The basement holds all of your unique musical goodies, gifts, and propensities. Many of these gifts were born into you at the time of your birth, and you came equipped with a ready-made blueprint of characteristics that would eventually define the creative person that you would become. The basement of your house contains a whole host of collected gifts, held just below the surface, deep in the center of your spiritual heart. It is the place that holds your authentic power, your destiny, and your creative offerings. At a very early age, you probably knew that this musical thing inside of you had a deep, resonating voice. Perhaps you could trace your musical talents to a lineage in your DNA through an ancestor or two who also had musical talent. But as time passed, you probably grew into a deeper understanding about how important music was to your happiness and wondered how music would eventually shape and define your future. Your particular blend of musical and creative gifts have a powerful home generator attached, a get-moving energy that is yearning to go someplace and to be seen. As you move through your life, the gifts bestowed upon your heart and gathered in your basement continue to have a divine, unexplainable importance that feels like a yearning, a sacred calling, or an energetic push, prompting you to get out there, using the gifts you've been given as an expression of what is already inside you. Regardless of your life circumstances, the universe is aware of your divine desire and has set you up perfectly, all things working in time for your greatest good. In our basement metaphor, this get-moving energy is akin to a home generator, urging you to push up to the first floor of active creative expression. For artists, avoiding or ignoring this creative push is akin to the effort it takes to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a great deal of negative emotional energy to hold something away from you that is yearning for expression. Resisting the momentum of creative expression can result in varying degrees of emotional sadness, depression, physical illness, and hopelessness for the creative artist. We all know people who fit this description and look like dying artists from the outside. We suspect that underneath they have failed to acknowledge the unanswered callings in their lives. They have convinced themselves that pursuing a life of creativity is not worth the effort or the time. However, for those crazy brave ones, the push of creative energy has to be answered regardless of the circumstances or potential outcome. Your inherent collection of creative gifts enters the first floor with a great deal of excitement, wide-eyed enthusiasm, and a willingness to get to work. The first floor. The first floor represents active creative expression. This is where you get to play ball, have some fun, try out new creative ideas, and generally get busy doing what you are called to do on this earth plane. On this level, there are 5 rooms: the kitchen, the library, the bathroom, the bedroom, and the living room. The kitchen represents care of the physical body through proper nutrition, physical exercise, and maintenance of general physical health. The saying goes, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And of course, this is true. Without a sense of general physical health, you can't serve the planet at your fullest capacity. Remember, you were a miracle on the day you were born and came into a body that would serve you throughout your life, enabling you to share the gifts you were given. Your physical body provides you with a sense of earth groundedness and a means to express your creativity. The healthier your body is, the easier it will be to access and use your creativity. The library represents the mental acuities needed for creative expression. This room is where you study your craft and make creative decisions. In terms of study, do you feel like you need to have a greater understanding of musical theory, to improve your chops on piano, or to learn to write in a different musical genre? Here is where you spend time refining your practical skills through regular practice and academic study. The library also regulates the power of your thinking process. In the midst of a creative project, the sheer number of creative possibilities presented to an artist has mind-boggling implications as you toss, blend, and finally ground ideas into actionable decisions. This is where you develop steel-like mental clarity and enjoy the process of learning and increasing proficiency, knowledge, mental flexibility, and decision-making. The bathroom is your emotional room and is arguably one of the most important rooms on the first floor. This is where your inner artist collects and interprets feelings, sheds emotional energy through release, and cleanses the creative spirit. Creativity is a highly emotional endeavor and is one of the most misunderstood. By having an understanding about the ebb and flow of your own emotions, you have an opportunity to increase your personal understanding in a wider and deeper way through the songs and creative projects you target. Just as effective therapists seek to help their clients understand emotional connections, the evolution of your personal emotional awareness will serve your art in a powerful way. A wide variety of emotional themes are accessed in the songwriting and creative process: fear, forgiveness, joy, depression, or frustration. Of course, the bathroom is where you enjoy the sense of water and its deep movement and beauty through honesty, tears, purification, elimination, forgiveness, and transition. The bedroom is a place for rest, sleep, and contemplation. As I've already shared, all creative activity is built around the concept of rests and periods of silence. Music in particular would be a run-on series of mishmash notes with little meaning or continuity without periodic moments of silence written in. The silence of a melodic line is a powerful thing, yielding an enormous opportunity for the listener as well as the writer to feel the emotional context of what has come before and to consider what may come after. Likewise, your artistic creative energies will continue to need pause and rest when in the creative process. The bedroom is where your artistic spirit has time to slow down, pause, receive spiritual messages from the subconscious through dreams, and where you have time to incubate, restore, rejuvenate, recover, and find a sense of peace. The living room has the glorious job of being your creative spiritual manager for all first-floor creative projects. It's the place for play, considering new possibilities, experimentation, adventure, and the connection of new ideas. In addition, the creative spiritual manager's job is to make intuitive recommendations directly to you regarding the efficiency of each room. Let's imagine that each room on the first floor has a dimmer switch on the wall. Sometimes the room is dark or light, depending on the energy radiating and being used in that room. For example, when we are physically in tune with our bodies, the kitchen lights become brighter as we select good food for our bodies and incorporate movement into our day. Library lights dim when our thoughts are rushed and out of control, or our old belief systems hinder us from participating in life fully. When we feel uplifted and encouraged, the bathroom's emotional lights can feel strong as we learn to lessen the resistance of negativity and broaden love in our relationships. Balanced or unbalanced creativity affects our output, stamina, and ultimately our creative viability. All rooms function both independently and interdependently as one room affects the other. If your creative spiritual manager were to have a written job description, one of its main responsibilities is to maintain a careful monitoring over all rooms and to send you a report on those rooms that need energetic attention because of imbalance, weakness, or neglect. Your creative spiritual manager has the ability to assess creative imbalance, make recommendations, and intuitively suggest constructive ways to increase strength and stamina. Once it sizes up the situation, it sends messages to you about the viability and strength of each room and makes suggestions on how you might improve so that your creative output can be stronger. If you are tuned in as a creative artist and are listening to what your creative spiritual manager is telling you, either through whispers or shouts, you might find that you need to have a greater sense of discipline in your eating, get more physical rest, take a yoga class, or talk to a friend about your relationship problem. Personally, I have found that when I am heavy into a creative project, I need more downtime literally in my bedroom, and I feel instinctively that it might be time for more journaling or a green juice cleanse. My creative spiritual manager has been known to say, "Excuse me, Lisa, I know that you are preoccupied at the moment, but it is my recommendation that you slow down this week and take a pause before booking another songwriting session. Call your songwriting buddy today and let him know that next week is no good and that you'll resume in a few weeks." Listen to the collaborative energies within your creative spirit as it seeks counsel, partnership, recommendations, and balance. Become aware of all parts of your inner artist by using your creative spiritual manager to keep you in check both energetically and collaboratively. The attic. At the top of your house is the spiritual attic of wisdom and knowledge. Every day, all the time, the attic will continually serve as a repository of collected memories and life experiences of your life on this planet. The attic also governs principles reflecting your character, like your belief systems, integrity, and higher divine ideas of wisdom and understanding. In many ways, your attic is as unique as your basement. It carries the personal fingerprint of who you are based on what you've learned in this life and your unique perceptions based on your experiences. Songwriting as artistic expression will need to access your attic often in order to find perspective and information about what you really want to say in your songs. Creative synthesis. Creative synthesis refers to your inherent ability to be aware of all the floors and rooms inside your creativity house. Creative synthesis is a pulling together in a comprehensive fashion of all aspects of your home's parts, an inside job where mindful awareness is the key to creative health. Without this awareness, you can certainly still remain creative, but there are guaranteed to be more times when you will wonder why you feel blocked, fearful, or doubtful. Creative synthesis takes its cues from the living room's creative spiritual manager and requires cross-pollination and a complete sense of awareness about all aspects of your creative home. Songwriting projects have their own beginnings, middles, and endings, and they are closely connected to the life story and perpetual connection of the songwriter. If you wish to be a viable, steady songwriter or creative person, then you will need to be aware of the balance in your creativity house as it supports your creative output. Hole inside. I'm told he sat on the cliffs of Carmel, California, and took in the wind and the sea as he wrote his music. In my early college days, I wished I could play keys like Joe did. Finding a piano to play anywhere on campus was like an open call for me to drop everything and melt into piano playing for a while. Practice rooms in the basement of the music building provided a nonstop selfish refuge of unfinished symphonies and out-of-the-box dreaming. Mr. Sample's music changed me. I wondered if I could ever perform music like that, if I could write music that good or move people the way his music had moved me. Connecting the dots backward is always revealing, and now I know that those moments in college were a small glimpse of what was to come for me, comparable to the waves on the ocean at the cliffs of Carmel, mysterious but very real. There was a moment when you first discovered music too. Attached to this groundbreaking musical discovery is an old memory so delicious that it takes little effort to conjure up the image of that day. It might have been when your grandfather sat you at a piano and helped you understand how to get music to come out of the big black thing that sat in your living room, or seeing Beyoncé singing on stage, or listening to U2's first album. Every fiber of your being was awakened at that moment, and you heard this new thing, and all you knew was that you wanted to make music too. When you ask millennial musicians, "So what music do you like?" there is often a shrug of the shoulders and a noncommittal answer like, "Well, I listen to everything." But if you were to spend a little more time asking them about their first influences, the music that really excited their souls, they would most likely connect to the time and place when a certain artist or band made such an impact that they knew they had to be more involved with music somehow. The music and songs you create are unique personal expressions and pull from the core of who you are. Those first musical influences in particular are so deeply embedded in your songwriter's spirit that the songs created typically have an eerie similarity to the music that originally touched the songwriter's heart. Original music, as it flows from you, has musical hints of historical significance and tells others something about your collective experiences and natural talents. When you are in the writing process, let the natural sound of music that delights your soul pour out easily. Songwriting is driven by influence and is hidden inside of your heart, your thoughts, and the cells of your body. Until the day you die, the memories of music from long ago will speak to you, calm you down, and show up in the music you create. On campus, and every week people would crowd his dorm room to view his newest work. What was astounding about his talent was his attention to detail. If you stood far enough away from his paintings, you could swear they were photographs. His notoriety on campus grew, and the whisper around town was that he was this undiscovered talent that would eventually do big things in the art world. 20 years later, I went to visit him at his apartment. He greeted me with the warm smile I had remembered, but something was definitely different. He was so edgy, nervous, and genuinely panicky that someone had taken the time to visit him at his home. His place was a mess, to put it lightly. Newspapers covered the living room floor, a couple of sewing machines adorned the coffee table, sketches decorated the wall, keyboards and guitars laid atop each other on the dining room table, and there was no food in the refrigerator. As far as I knew, he had never been married and had no children, and his entire family lived in other cities. You get the picture. I felt sad for my friend. He deserved a better life than this. Here was another creative casualty, unable to navigate the trenches of his own creative genius. Sometimes, as solitary creative types, we think we can do it alone. Our art is so seductive and so personally fulfilling that we think we don't need anything or anybody else to get the job done. This is not true. Along with a whole variety of activities that refresh our creative juices like self-care, physical exercise, and proper nutrition, connection with other creative people provides a haven of support and energy that fuels our artistic spirits. We need to connect to other like-minded people to provide a sense of perspective, accountability, and creative consistency, to sort out the artistic muck when we get stuck, to understand our deeper selves and make sense of the parts we can't find, to catch us when we fall, to encourage us to keep going, to witness our own reflection in the mirror and see that it is wonderful, to experience the creative process through a strong collaborative arrangement, and to relax and have fun in a space of expanded creativity with someone who understands. Remember, your art serves as a vehicle to explore who you are. As you focus on the inside job of becoming and creating, you will inevitably be drawn to people, places, and opportunities for collaborative growth. At times, meeting and working with others will feel either uncomfortable or exhilarating. Your sensitive nature would not have it any other way. To fuel your connection and help build collaborative bridges, you might recruit a mentor, go to an open mic with a friend, visit a counselor to work out old issues, mingle with positive artists, accept that invitation to a fancy industry party, visit a recording studio, take a course online, and chat with other people like you. Whatever you do, don't go at this artistic journey alone. Goosebumps are a physical response to a spiritual earthquake that registers just below the surface and resonates so deeply that it produces tingles and unexplainable physical changes on the skin. Closely related to goosebumps are flares. There is nothing better than being in a room and working on a song where all writers are stumped as they try to come up with a rhyme, phrase, or particular lyric. Then suddenly there is a breakthrough moment. Someone says something or plays something that resonates with everybody, and there is a simultaneous whoop whoop in the room when all writers know that the perfect answer has just been found. I call this a flare. Like a flare that lights up the evening sky, a flare's illumination can shoot into the writing session with a bright, new divine answer. There is often also a physical feeling to the arrival of a flare, and if you are susceptible to goosebumps when you hear music, then you may find that same feeling of cellular upheaval can rush through you as you lock into spiritual connectedness and collaborative insight. I've witnessed flares and goosebumps when music is being created, and it's a wonderful thing to experience. Remember that you have triggered and been the recipient of a universal connection when those moments happen. So stop, pay attention, and be thankful that you are in the perfect place at the perfect time. What makes me happy is working on project after project. I am a true artist armed with a new idea, challenging myself to walk through the muck of finishing something and then stepping back to observe what I've created. When I finished my first album and played it for my dad, he cried. They were happy tears because he knew that it takes great effort to complete a unique project and see it to the end. There will be people who recognize and applaud this project-to-project quirk in you, and they are your cheerleaders. They recognize something in you that is wonderful, courageous, and worthy of their admiration. The true lesson here is that those who love you and are honestly proud of your artistic efforts are like mirrors of excitement, reflecting back to you the real scope of your artistic circumstances. They are spiritual messengers sent to remind you that you are worthy, important, and good. I guarantee there will be cheerleaders along your artistic journey who will cheer you on even when things aren't looking too good. They see you as you truly are, even when you feel like you've lost your way. Ready to confidently take out her opponent. From my vantage point, my mother was bigger than life and amazing in her own right. Although I was a typical teen girl filled with angst and slightly embarrassed at my mom's propensity to show off on the tennis court, I came to delight in the sight of her doing the things that she loved and doing them well. When I told my mom that I wanted to try my hand at tennis too, and that it would mean a lot to me if she would hit some balls with me, she responded, "Well, Lisa, there is a thing called playing with a hamburger. And that means playing with someone who isn't as good as you. It pulls your game down. And if you are focused and ready to win, then you don't want to play with a hamburger." In other words, Mom wasn't ready to hit some balls around the court with her daughter, and I thought, what kind of mother wouldn't play tennis with her own daughter? I must have communicated my disappointment because we did eventually hit some balls over the net, and she did give me some tips about proper play. But otherwise, I was on my own to figure out how to improve my skills at her encouragement. I learned valuable lessons about strategy, focus, and getting things done. First, continue to ask yourself in every given creative situation, what is it that I have to learn so that I can be stronger and better at my craft? Second, watch out for the hamburgers who are not in alignment with what you want. You might have friends and acquaintances that aren't serious about finishing their music, who might be too unfocused, or who might be too broken at the moment to really get things done. You might be in a band that is coming apart at the seams, or it has band members that don't have the same vision. Sometimes you won't know the answer to the hamburger question until you are right in the middle of a situation with other musicians who don't seem to have a direction. That's okay. Keep your ear to the ground and keep learning. Learn to walk away gracefully if you need to. Surrounding yourself with too many hamburgers and knowing that they have a different level of focus, commitment, or talent can be a quick learning experience in what you don't want. Strive for what you do want, to be a brilliant musician, songwriter, and artistic person who completes the artistic projects that excite you. 2 glasses of delicious wine, your palate becomes oversaturated. The nice lady behind the counter suggests that you use a flush of water and a small cracker to help neutralize the palate before continuing. Taking a pause allows you to think and reflect on the full-bodied plum flavors from one bottle and the deep oak taste from another. Your friend chimes in with her knowledge about fine wines and gives you a quick and dirty education before you purchase 2 bottles. Like fine wine tasting, songwriting is at its best a collaborative process. In order to make the best song possible, don't be afraid to invite someone into the process who knows a little more than you. Someone who is an expert of sorts and loves collaborating on songs. It has been my experience that good writers of song bridges find their strength in the areas of rhythm and harmony, and they enjoy the process of coming up with new chord progressions and any number of rhythmic possibilities to connect one side of the bridge to the other. In fact, they have no problem telling you out loud, "I love writing bridges." If you are a singer with a good sense of pitch and are pretty savvy at writing strong lyrical content, but you only play an instrument minimally, this might be a perfect opportunity to enlist a musician or a music producer to collaborate on the bridge of your song. Very few songwriters work completely alone. At some point in the process, you will need to engage other people. Co-writing a song with someone can boost your confidence and complement your musical output. To pull up their game, I encourage songwriters to partner with others who have more experience or knowledge in the musical areas where they lack. It's important to partner with a person or people with whom you have good chemistry and enjoy easy camaraderie. Talking about music is a highly enjoyable activity spent in the creative process, and it actually helps our creative spirits soar while feeling grounded at the same time. There have been many times right in the middle of the creative process when the songwriters break for food and find themselves laughing about some silly thing. Later, that silly thing ends up wrapping itself into a portion of the song either through lyric, mood, or circumstance when they get back to the studio. Although another musician's perspective can offer new ideas you hadn't considered before, collaborations can be messy. When you partner with another songwriter on any level of the writing process, it's like a mini marriage. If it's good, it's the best thing on earth. If it's bad, it's the worst thing on earth. We all feel the pull of song ownership, pride in our music, and the preciousness of what we've created. The last thing we want is miscommunication and craziness during the process. Here are a few recommendations to consider when you are ready to pair up with a new songwriting partner. Check out previous work. If you don't know a musician's work, ask to hear something they've done recently. If they don't have anything recorded, ask to hear some songs live on their instrument of choice. This may feel uncomfortable at first because you are asking for some evidence of their ability, but it also tells the prospective collaborator that you are serious about writing and finding the right partner. Listen to your gut and be willing to walk away if you feel that their contributions might not be complementary to your sound. Identify which of the 4 pillars of music are their strongest. Crazy brave step number 3. Do they have strengths that you don't have and vice versa? If you are looking to expand on one of the pillars that you are developing, then collaborate with someone who is better in that area. If you feel solid in areas that represent your natural gifts, then look for someone to support your songwriting within the other musical pillars that you are missing. Ask about musical influences. Ask easy questions. Which bands, singers, and artists did they grow up loving? To whom are they currently listening? Spend a little time talking music. Although some good collaborations can involve opposite ends of the musical spectrum, chances are that if your influences are too far apart, for example, country versus punk rock, Delta blues versus Colombian cumbias, any collaborative work you do together will eventually hit a brick wall based on your individual musical tastes. There are great music producers out there who are masters at loving all types of music and are competent in producing and writing in many genres, but these musicians are few and far between. Finding other writers who love the same music that you vibe with will go a long way in the development of your musical sound. Measure their commitment level. Ask some questions to identify their commitment level. How many times can you meet to write with me? How often? Here's my goal. Does that seem to work for you? Are you okay with contributing to recording or marketing costs? Commitment level is critical to determine early on so that you can avoid feelings of frustration midstream or down the road. Be real with your pocketbook. There are many ways to get your song completed and recorded. Whatever you decide is the best option, you'll eventually have to put some money behind your project. The quickest way to get a song completed is to hire a few A-team session players who will get the job done in a short period of time. But this may require a producer to handle the project and write musical charts. Look at your pocketbook realistically and figure out what you can do right now. Maybe for now, writing with a friend, hiring your buddy who has a recording studio in his garage, or delving into purchasing a software program and spending time learning is the way to go. It's all good songwriting progress based on your internal drive, desire, and willingness to learn. Discuss songwriting percentage splits up front. When you write a song with someone else, or with several of your band members, there will inevitably be a need to discuss writer splits. If there are 2 writers on a song, where one writer wrote the top line, melody and lyrics, and the other writer wrote the bottom line of harmony, to include chord progressions, and rhythm, to include beat programming and/or arrangement, then there is an equal 50-50 split for each writer as long as that is the agreement. If there are 3 writers on the project, and each writer agrees on equal writer splits, then you are looking at 33.3% for each writer, again depending on discussion and agreement. Far too many songwriters skip the step of discussing splits because it seems so uncomfortable until someone wants to put the song on a TV show, and then rushed back-end decisions only add to the confusion. Mixing songwriting with marketing or business issues is a tough emotional move for most artists, and even in the best of working relationships, can seem odd and difficult. It takes some crazy bravery and seriousness to discuss any business aspect associated with your songs. To make things easier, it might be good to bring in a friendly third party who can facilitate the discussion. It has been my experience that it is best to talk songwriter splits before you finish a song. Write down what was discussed, have everyone sign a one-page agreement, and then revisit and confirm the agreement at the end of the process. For bands, this is incredibly critical so that misunderstandings are avoided altogether. The more writers involved, the more potential problems might arise down the road. Many great songs have never seen the light of day because songwriters couldn't or wouldn't come to an agreement about this most important factor. Word to the wise, songwriters, handle your business. What's good for the song is good for the song. Before writing begins, come to an agreement about rules in the collaborative songwriting process. One thing I always talk about with any writer I work with is the motto, what is best for the song is best for the song. That means that everyone checks one's egos at the door, and all people involved are willing to speak their minds openly without rebuffing from other writers. Writing is a very vulnerable process, and so cooperation and consideration supports the process of good collaboration. Lively discussions are encouraged, and all disagreements should be handled with respect at all times. I had to find someone who had a stronger skill set than my own. My immediate goal and mission was to attend an annual songwriters conference held in Los Angeles and to pitch one song while I was there. Over a 9-month period, I stepped up my efforts to find a capable music producer who could help me with my mini mission. 1 month before the conference, a friend of mine invited me to church, where I heard the worship leader belt out an original song. I was impressed enough to buy her album and asked whom she had worked with. She gave me her music producer's number, and I made an appointment to see him the following week. In 2 weeks, I had a demo recording in hand. My first song was called Baby Be Mine, and I was very proud of our collaboration. Below is the miraculous chain of events that occurred over a 30-year period because of that first song. 1994. At the songwriting conference, I met a lady named Barbara Jordan, president of Heavy Hitters Music, a publishing company from the East Coast. She liked my little song called Baby Be Mine, and although she wasn't ready to offer a publishing deal, we exchanged numbers, and she told me to keep in touch. 1999. I did keep in touch, and I called Barbara when I finished my first album, Timeless, under the name Lisa Manor, which she was happy to publish. 2001. My music producer and the co-writer of Baby Be Mine became my husband, and I had the title of our song engraved on the inside of his wedding ring. 2002. My husband and I began working together in the music business. I tried my hand at music marketing, and he continued to write and work as a producer. Through a series of synchronistic events, we purchased a 3,000-square-foot recording studio, developed a roster of clients, and built a business working with music artists on a full-time basis. 2004. Barbara Jordan sold her publishing company to new owners, Cindy Bedell Slaughter, former director, music operations, CBS Broadcasting Incorporated, and her delightful husband, Bill. Both had many connections in the music industry. When they relocated Heavy Hitters Music to Los Angeles, I made it a point to formally introduce myself as one of the artists in their publishing catalog. 2005. Together with our children, my husband and I formed a nonprofit organization called Reaching Youth Through Music Opportunities, a music technological education program servicing underserved youth. We told Cindy and Bill Slaughter about the new venture. They loved the idea of supporting the program by helping to develop industry-related events at our studio. To this day, they continue to support and rally professional music supervisors, composers, and industry professionals to support the efforts of REATMO. 2011. The Pulse program at Berklee College of Music in Boston noticed our program and has since partnered with Ritmo in education services. Up to 4 deserving Ritmo students attend Berklee College of Music's 9-week summer program each year with free tuition. To date, Ritmo has raised thousands of dollars and supported hundreds of youth who have benefited from this program. Without the collective effort of many people, this chain of connective energy could not have happened, and we continue to benefit from the myriad of relationships that have sparked over the years. And it all started with a little song and a big dream. Don't underestimate the power of your little song. There is a sacred connectivity between the songs you write and the world that is waiting to hear them. They will draw all sorts of people to you who are commissioned to connect with other like-minded souls, calculated over a divine timetable of destiny. Your song just might have a reason for being born and doing amazing things for many, including yourself. Resign yourself to the fact that you don't know the outcome, the reason, or the potential twists and turns of the journey. Your job is not to think about that. Simply follow the creative breadcrumbs by taking one step at a time as a dedicated songwriter, and pay attention to everything along the way. It will be a beautiful ride. To others as we share our artistic expressions, and with others during the creative process. Takeaway. You cannot write music alone. Eventually, you will need other artists or like-minded people to help and support you in the process. Collaboration bridges create opportunities for creative expansion. There is a sacred timetable of connectivity between the songs you write and the audience that will eventually listen to them. The more honest you are in your writing, the greater the connection to the listener. Music creates spiritual alignment by connecting bridges from one heart to another. Take care of your creative house. Strive for creative synthesis by becoming aware of your creative gifts and seeking balance. Crazy Brave Action. Collaborative outreach. Within the next month, make a commitment to make one small move toward collaboration. Some ideas might be to seek out a songwriting partner, book time in the studio, join a music group, make that overdue call to your creative music producer friend, or have dinner with a friend to discuss musical ideas. Don't think too far into the future. One move today will yield positive forward movement tomorrow.